I could get a seat in the back on a Friday night at the Comedy Store in the main room, just watching and being a comic. And yeah, I dare you to do that now. No, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, I go often now, like 3-4 times a week, and I go later because like. It's something about Don Barris and these what they do.
I love him.
Well, that's the thing is like watching that to me. It's like I got to see Gerard the other night and Moses, and it was great. Yeah. Ian Edwards, but like it was really cool to see the end. Like what Don Barris does is like just nobody else can do it. He does an hour every night, 7 days a week, unless they go on the road to Jimmy Kimmel.
Right.
But I mean, was there a specific comic that inspired you, or was it just kind of like, a plethora of comedians?
It was, I'd have to say, it was Bill Hicks. Like, it was Bill Hicks for a long, long time. He still has one of my favorite bits where it's, my favorite bit is the one where it's like, we can't top the stunts unless we start using the terminally ill as stuntmen. And it's my favorite.
I love Bill Hicks. I think he's known for a lot of different things, but they say Stanhope is the next Hicks. So
Stanhope is some people can make arguments Stanhope has transcended Hicks. Stanhope's great, and I am annoyed that his special's on CISO because I'm not going to pay for CISO.
Well, the thing, what I love about Stanhope more than just his stand-up is what he did for the community. He showed that you can make the same living, if not a better living, doing it at bowling alleys and backyards and dive bars, instead of having to have comedy clubs and the comment cards and owners fucking you. Yeah, it's incredible, man. I haven't met him yet, but I mean, I feel like it's gonna happen. I mean, I hang out at the store a lot, and I got lucky, becoming friends with people that are friends with, Rogan and all that. So it's like, it's been good comedy. But here's the thing: comedy has it doesn't necessarily. It's weird because in real life, with just regular people that aren't comedians, knowing that I'm not alone helps with depression. Yeah. In comedy, when people go up and talk about their suicide attempts and all that, it doesn't help me. It just makes me more sad.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's not that I want to be the only one that has a suicide attempt. I'm just saying it's almost too common among stand-ups where it just makes it feel like, well, if I didn't have this, then I would feel like, why don't I have this?
Well, when you bring that up, when those comedians bring those type of things up,
I never talk about it on stage.
Yeah, it's tough. Well, here's the thing about that type of material is you have to actually transcend what happened in order to make it funny.
You have to,
you have to be completely at ease with it. You have to kind of celebrate it in some weird way or something like that. In order for it to, or be so emotionally detached that you can find the irony. Mm-hmm. Because if you are in any way still, in even the slightest percent still not cool with what happened, if you were still not 100% over what happened, if you yourself can't actually laugh at what happened, I'm glad we're talking say that way. That's the best way of saying it. If you can't actually laugh at what happened, the audience can't either. We see people talk about their molestations, their rapes.
If you can make it funny, I'm all about it.
It's not even making it funny. It's making it funny to you too. It's it's because it becomes a kind of denial that the audience can see.
That's
through.
True.
That's
very
the catch-22.
Yeah.
It becomes this thing like I'm totally cool with it, or we wouldn't be talking about it, and the audience can see the dead look in your eyes that you are this child still crying about it.
Right.
So it's one of those things where you have to kind of prove to the audience that even though this terrible thing happened, you are able to laugh at it as well. I mean, I think that's the missing ingredient that I think a lot of comics we see when they see talk about these dark topics and they lose it. How comics laugh at their own jokes? I do it. We all do it because we find something we find funny and we even impress ourselves. You have to find that in the dark material. Otherwise, the audience just registers it as denial. Right. And then they can't decide whether or not to laugh. If you're going to talk about a subject, usually what the easiest way to, I always say it is, if you either are going to praise something or punish something, and it's usually people not deciding which side they're on about this dark topic that they're talking about.
Right.
Like, you either have to go in and say this is fucked up, or you have to say, can you believe this? What this amazing thing I got out of this situation is.
Right.
But usually people, they haven't even decided for themselves.
Right.
So the audience is waiting for them to decide and then make something funny out of it.
Right. I mean, I haven't been able to do this in some comics that you were able to do it. How do you balance full-time work with stand-up?
I quit. I gotta say, like, that's the decision you have to make. Like, I didn't just have an 8 to 5 job. I worked 40 plus hours, and I would do 1 to 2 mics, and that situation worked for a long time. And then the job I was working at was deteriorating in a way that I didn't enjoy, and I felt like I'd never really given myself a chance in terms of comedy.
Just do nothing but stand up.
Yeah. I never really, and there's just a lot of little things in my personal life that balanced out. Like, my mom was going through knee replacement surgery, and she was going to need a caregiver. I could take this cheesy online bookkeeper certification course and maybe get a little bit better credentials. My main thought I had was in my head, I'm going broke anyway. Why not just fucking put the pedal to the metal?
Right.
Stop. Because I had this menial job that was barely getting me by. I had a little saved up. And it was just like, why not we just put our foot on the gas and just see what the fuck happens. Right.
You're never gonna, you're always gonna wonder what would happen. Like, I had a job that I loved. It might have been my favorite job. I took this kid that was in a wheelchair to school at college, and I just kind of was just like his helper. It was like, it paid well. It was amazing. The mom was so great to me, and it was like a part-time job, and I had another part-time job, and then I got offered TMZ, and I was like, you know what? Like, it was so hard to leave that job, but I took TMZ and it didn't work out. And then I tried to go back to that job and they found someone else, but I don't regret that, because I was always going to wonder, like, what if I didn't give TMZ? Because TMZ is only going to come over one. It's in the only, you get listen, trust me, a business like that, they're going to remember that you turned them down, and they're not going to give you another chance. So it's like, I didn't have a good opportunity. I had a good time.
About that, you have to do what's best for you.
But that's the thing, is I was such a fan of TMZ that I was always gonna remember. And it was TMZ Sports, and so it was that was a big sports guy. So it's like, to me,
there you go.
It was like I was always gonna wonder, what would happen if I didn't have take this opportunity. So you do need to gamble on yourself, and in that case, it didn't work. But I don't regret taking that chance.
Absolutely. Yeah, this chance of error is so huge and chance of success is so slight. You just got to be comfortable with your own decisions.
Right.
That's just the way around. That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
And so I've totally been loving this decision. I also, other people have noticed too, a lot of things, a lot of people are like, you are way less angrier than you used to be since I quit my job, and things like I've been way happier. I've lost weight.
You look good.
Everybody who's seen me knows I grew an awesome beard. This is a majestic beard. It's a pity your radio audience cannot see the luminescence of my beard.
Yeah, it's a good beard.
It's a good beard. So I think those type of things. I don't think you can. A lot of people. I don't think it's people. If you really want to be a full-time comic, I don't think you can really hold down a job and comedy.
I know a couple people that can.
Yes.
And Leah Kajanian is I cannot believe the amount of how she does it, really, because she has a full-time job at a school. She does the roast battle thing. She does softball, and she does her own stand-up. So it's and she kills. And it's but I asked her about it, and she goes, comedy's not paying me enough to get by on it. So it's
agree, yeah.
Yeah, but she's also somebody that, started in Oklahoma. And so when you move from Oklahoma, we grew up in Southern California. Yeah. So it's it's a little different where like we can fall back on different situations we have here. Where she's kind of like, she came here going, you know, let's make it or break, you know, you got to just keep going.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I kind of get that.
Also, my bravado is only good for about a couple more months. Ask me this again after my savings.
Then you're going to start looking for another job.
Watch my sense of humility kick in then.
Have you thought about doing like Uber or like Lyft? Or that seems like comics do that. Like
that's one of the things I'm going to probably end up doing is buying a new car and then trying to Uber and Lyft the payments off of it.
You get a lot of material that way. I mean, I see a lot of comics talking about it.
But
it gives me anxiety to drive that much and people I don't know, to be honest. But I like to drive, but not like that. I like by myself. And I also can't keep my car clean, so that would be tough. But yeah, I mean, okay, so do you have, like, if there was somebody that went up to you and said, hey, like, I want to start stand-up, but I don't, like, you know, like, how do I get into it? Or I think the problem is people see these specials on Netflix and they think it, you know, with podcasts and Vine and all these things, they think that people can just blow up out of nowhere, like these overnight sensations. You know, you can't look at a Chris D'Elia and think that that's going to be your path. He was a failed actor before. His dad is in the business, and I mean, the people I know that know him, he hit it so hard every single night. Wasn't into drugs or alcohol or any of that. So it's like, I don't know. I mean,
you know what? Chris D'Elia comes up a lot, and I think it's about, he's such an outlier. It's not to anybody's benefit to think about it. Like,
you can't compare yourself to Chris D'Elia.
His situation is so weird and just from out of left field that if you try to process it, it's like trying to put like logic on religion. You're just not going to get anywhere. You just got to let that thing happen, be what it is. Because you hear a lot about Chris D'Elia, and you know, there's just nothing to be said because it's just something that happened like life happens. Just like, you know, but those type of things when people bring up those conversations, like those, like thinking about stand up, I kind of give the generic responses. Not because I think they're the best, but because I kind of don't respect the question. Like, the reason I joined stand-up, it was because, like, there was something propelling me forward.
Right.
And, like, I feel like people who ask those type of questions is they want credit for not trying. Like, you know, I feel like people who ask those questions want the validation without having to put in the effort, you know? And so I usually just give the generic statement, but really when I give that generic statement, I'm barely paying attention to them at all.
Right.
Because like either like you're gonna have something in you that propels you to do this, or you're not. And if you don't have that, then you should go find that thing that propels you.
That's
like,
true.
That reason I'm in that room is because I despise. It's not because I maybe love the jokes. I despise apathy. I fucking hate apathy. I think like a lot of things that are happening now are happening because of apathy, and so like those questions, you know, they're fear-based questions. How do I get? They're fear-based questions, which is you know everybody gets afraid. But at the same time, there's just nothing there's nothing that you can do usually besides just putting your feet in the sand and just fucking heading towards the ocean if you want to swim. Like, there's just and people just want to talk themselves into swimming, and you just gotta fucking put your fucking feet in the fucking water. And that's about it. Like, they're trying to out-talk swimming. You can't do that. You gotta just get in the fucking water. Because everybody, like, even going back to Chris D'Elia, it's a good point. Like, he found his way to swim that way, but the only way everybody's gonna find a different way to swim.
Well, the ones that I feel like the amount of energy that comics waste on talking about other people's successes, or you know, it's like, listen, it's clearly you're jealous. And you can either continue to talk about them and waste energy on it, or you can do whatever you can do to get better. Like, my thing is, unlike a lot of these comics that we know, I'm not trying to quote unquote make it. I know that I'm not going to be in this a lot more time, but I always produce shows because I love comedy so much. So like, to me, it's like, I want to turn this into like motivational speeches and go around schools and all that. That's what I want to do. But to me, I mean, I don't know. I love stand-up, though. It's like, But watching the grind every day of these open mic, and I feel like it's a slap in the face to call them open micers because it's like there are headliners that still